You're tuned into Marital Chemistry
2020.
We have a mission.
with your host, G. Cohen.
You see, that's why your skin looks so cool. Like
Exactly.
Lisa.
I was thinking about this one, and I think for most people who are married, they're content with their spouse.
Richard.
But it has to get the
Yeah.
countdown and everything.
Winita.
Because really and truly, what you're going to remember like 10 years from now.
welcome to
Marital Chemistry. Welcome back to Marital Chemistry on Hot 1 AM, the bad boy of radio with G. Cohen, the most wanted, hanging out with my wife.
Lisa.
And with one half of the night.
Juanita.
That's right. And we are discussing building chemistry in your relationship. And we just wrapped our Juanita, the importance of having chemistry. Now we're diving over to Lisa, making time to connect.
Yeah. So when I thought about like chemistry and that connection, what that means, I thought of how important it is to actually make the time to connect. And like Juanita said, like, you know, sometimes even having, you know, little talks or finding that those things that you can connect with each other and those common interests. But sometimes it's like you have to make a conscious effort because life can get so busy sometimes that you forget those little things that either brought you together or that can keep you going and can keep the spark going and keep the interest, and you know, and you can get lost in it, right? So I was just thinking, like, you know, when you build chemistry, you have to make that time. And chemistry is not something that you can necessarily make up. Like there's something that brought you together, and that's the chemistry. That's what you have to play on. But it is something that you can lose if it's not nurtured.
That is true. That is actually a very good point.
Right?
Yes.
Because you can have that natural chemistry that attracted you to that person right away, and it's like, hey, we drive and we can read each other. But you could lose that after a while, because you've seen people that were like, all of a sudden, you know, they could be on one side of the room and the other person's on the other side of the room, and they're not connecting. And you remember that at one point they used to be really close and don't know what happened. And but that's sometimes why, if it's not nurtured, you can lose it.
That's right.
That's
You
actually
know?
a very good point.
Yeah, right? And I was thinking, like, it can be either through verbal or even physical time together. And that physical time might be something just like a touch, and so you're just walking by and, you know, right? Here I am rubbing my arms, just like, grab a booty.
Hey, boo. I see you.
Right? But it's those little things. It's things like, and I started to think of how can you connect, right? In those little ways that keep that spark or keep that connection going or that chemistry building. And I was thinking, like, things like a wink, you know, like across the room, you know, a little eyebrow up, or, you know, a smile or a touch, like I said, but when passing, those type of things enhance the chemistry,
Right.
you know. And when we get busy and we can forget those little things, but those little things are easy. They don't cost anything.
That's right.
They're really from the heart, and
Yes.
it just makes you remember who that person is in your life as
That's
well, right? And like even like the long gaze of all these things, like those things help to build, like being able to look at somebody and just connect. It was funny, I was watching a show where that was actually part of their therapy or their connection, where they just had to take like a few minutes and just stare at each other.
Let me see into your
and
soul.
don't say anything.
That's kind of scary though when you think about it.
But it's
you just have
actually-
to sit here and look at someone.
but it's actually a very good way of connecting.
It is. It is a very good way.
Absolutely.
But when you think about it, it's a scary thing.
Why?
It can be a scary
Are
thing.
you saying it from a man's perspective? Because I feel like if I'm sitting there and I'm staring at my husband, and I'm like thinking like, okay, you know, we're connecting, and we're only using our eyes to communicate, right? Because that's the only way that you can communicate, and you're giving that feel, that sensuality, everything is coming through that eye connection.
So it's like, again, you could because in that moment you can start to just replay everything, or you can just like, I don't know, I just think that could potentially be a scary thing.
It can be a scary. Okay, I could understand why you may say it's scary if they're either unresolved or unaddressed issues, because things could potentially bubble. But is that a bad thing though? Because
Can you cuss with your eyes?
I just do that.
Because I just thought like,
right?
I'll cuss you out with my eyes.
But it's true because, and that's what part of that exercise is. And it's funny because this girl did this and she had been upset because it was like in the show, right, where she was upset at she didn't feel like her husband backed her up.
Yeah, didn't support her.
Like, support her with like friends and stuff like that, and a friend was coming at her and his friend and all this kind of stuff. But when they looked at each other, she literally just broke down, and he just hugged her, and they just reconnected in that moment. And it was because you were able to just look,
yes,
and be able to just see
and connect.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you want to be able to like feel what's in their heart or feel what's there without that spoken word, because sometimes your words can mask a lot of things. Like I remember I was telling Cohen before, like, you know, a smile isn't always a smile. And just because somebody's smiling, it doesn't always mean that it doesn't always mean that they're happy.
Exactly.
You know
they
what I
do that
mean?
to cover up something.
They do that to cover. It's a guard, it's a protection, it's a defense mechanism a lot of times, that if I smile, then they won't know. Or if I smile, I don't have to cry. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to deal with it.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's why it's so important that if you look at somebody, because I always say the eyes, honestly,
eyes can't
anytime
lie.
I meet anybody, there's something in people's eyes.
Yeah, girl.
It's like a gateway. It's either cold, it's happy, it's sad, but I will.
Or you know they're working with the devil.
Exactly. Exactly.
You honestly can tell a lot from looking at somebody, like what their energy is gonna, you know what I mean, what type of energy they're gonna give off.
Absolutely.
And you know if it's like a positive thing or if it's gonna be a negative, and you just know that, okay, this is not my cup of tea, or
Absolutely.
I can vibe with this person.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And it's true. And the thing is that some people can have hurt. Some people can have pain, and they think that by they're saying the right things, they're doing the right things, nobody's going to notice. And I mean, some people aren't maybe as intuitive with people like that, and maybe they wouldn't pick it up. But I don't know. I find I can pick that up. Like,
me too.
You know what I mean? And maybe it's women too. Maybe you can pick it up differently even than men.
Yeah.
But like, being able to connect with each other and taking those moments, those quiet times where, yes, you're talking and connecting and stuff, but just having those quiet moments to say, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And that little touch to say, hey, I got you, or it's going to be fine, or those kind of things keep the chemistry
and it keeps
flowing.
both of you, it keeps both of you like connected as well too.
That's right.
And that's always the most important thing, is that connection.
That's
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And sometimes that could
I feel like I just checked out for a while.
That's it. Taking it all in. But
yes.
No, for real though.
Yeah,
it really does.
It does. And the thing is, you want to be able to make that time. And whether it's at the end of the night or whether it's throughout the day, the touch points, the little calls. Or,
And you know, it's funny because you see, a lot of times you have people where the connection is not flown at home. Because I've heard this from guys as well, right? At home, wife is totally like in herself. And then when you go to the mall, they want to hold hands.
Because it's only for public display.
You know what I mean? Exactly. And not understanding, well, if you're not giving it the chemistry at home, I don't want to hold your hand while we're out.
Yeah, because then I'm being fake.
Exactly. Because things bubble up.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And then you're going to get mad because I don't want to hold your hand in public.
Exactly.
Exactly. How does that make sense?
Exactly.
Right?
And then it becomes a whole other bigger issue.
Process. Yeah, it's a constant process.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, so it's hard to do when there are unresolved issues.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just things in the background that is perpetuating other things.
Yeah.
Whereas you know what? It's got to get beyond that point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where the connection comes in, and that's where that chemistry can't be lost, because part of that chemistry helps with the trust. It helps with the openness, like when the things that you can say and the things that you can do. It keeps it fun. It keeps it exciting, because if you know that person is there, you know that person's making time for you, you know that person is thinking of you, all of those things, then when things do come up or things have to be dealt with, they can be dealt with a little bit more respectfully, you know, as well.
And in all honesty, like, we're saying these things because it's stuff that we've done ourselves. And
Exactly.
But it's not easy to keep. It's
No.
not easy by no means.
No.
It's
Yes.
always work. You know,
know.
it's not easy to keep the chemistry. Like, because there's times where you just like, because you're so busy and you're so distracted with so many other things.
That's right.
It's hard for you to sometimes remember.
Yes.
But it's always important to try and remember and try to put that as a priority, because if you don't have it on your priority list, it won't happen.
And that's what I'm saying. You have to make a conscious effort to do it.
Exactly.
You do have to make a conscious effort, because there have been times I remember I've said to one, "Oh my goodness, I feel like I haven't given you a hug in a long time, or we haven't hugged in a while."
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay,
life happens.
We've just been going, and even if it's just that moment, that like, okay, let me give you a hug in the kitchen. Like, you have to make that conscious effort to be like, okay, I feel like if somehow we haven't, connected in some way, even if it's just sitting down and talk. Like I feel like we've been just going and going. Hey, how's it been going? How are you feeling? How let's do something. Like how when we went out the other day, right? It's just taking those moments. It doesn't have to be long. It might just be going to the mall. Let's just go for a walk, right? Like just go for a walk. Like
my thing is just let's go eat. I don't want to walk nowhere. I don't want to walk nowhere. Let's just go sit, have a nice drink, have a conversation. Because at the end of the day, when the kids are not around, you tend to have a different conversation, an adult conversation.
That's right.
Right, and then at that moment, everything starts opening up. Everything starts coming out the bag.
Yeah.
When the kids are around, you kind of have to filter certain things.
That's right.
But when you're one-on-one, you're with that person. You're able to kind of unleash everything. You laugh at the table. You're like, yo.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You go back to the old
times.
You're
going back to dating.
That's right.
Right? And that's so important.
Absolutely.
Like for me, I'll just sit and look out a window. And just like show her people and laugh at them.
Yes.
And I always seem to catch
people
it.
watch.
Yes.
What was that? What were we doing the other day in the middle of the snowstorm? I just happened to glance out and saw this guy riding northbound on Malvern on a bicycle in the snowstorm. Lisa's like, why did you have to see that moment? You just turned around at the right moment. I'm like, God knows me. You know what I mean? Like, it just so happened. I just happened to turn around and there was this guy. And it was like late night too.
Yes.
It was in the middle of the night. I'm like,
and you actually turned around in the moment.
Just turned around in the moment, saw Buddy in the snowstorm on his bicycle, and I'm like, what the hell?
Did you record it?
No, it was so quick that I had enough time to go, Lisa, what
look,
the hell is this guy doing? You know what I mean? But it's those things. That's part of the chemistry.
That's sharing.
That's right.
Exactly. Because again, God knows I'm a silly person.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So seeing that, sharing that with her, because Lisa would probably see that and probably wouldn't even take it in the way I would to show it to me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So these are some of the things we understand where it's like it tends to be opposite.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to get into a little bit more in the salt and pepper, but it's just those little things as well where my personality drives her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's a good thing, because at least it's kind of keeping you're able to kind of keep that spark with her in that sense, and then she knows how to do it in the opposite way.
Reel me back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Reel me
That's
back.
good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that is the importance of having chemistry in your relationship.
Absolutely.
Some pretty good tips there.
Yeah, man.
I think I learned a lot. I think
Me
I'll be a
too.
better husband after this.
I need to let Richie listen to this one too.
Oh, was this one specifically targeted for us?
No, not necessarily. I think we all bring chemistry into our marriage in different ways.
Exactly.
Right? But it's also important to kind of put it out there, because certain things that you may do, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to try that.
Absolutely.
Or something that, you know what I mean? And vice versa. Yeah. So at the end of the day, like as I said, I don't do hikes to save my life. No. But I want to try it, and I want to try it with him.
That's right.
But there's other things that he may suggest to me, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Let's just switch it up a little bit, you know? But I'm just saying, it's just trial and error.
Trial and error. That's it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true.
Very true. Well, guess what? We're going to come back. We're going to dive over into the salt and pepper. I'll try my best to do what I can for Richard. And I'm going to be talking about how to build chemistry that matters. Continue to keep it locked. Hot 1 AM, the bad boy of radio.